Welcome back to Studio Chatter. If you have a student with ADHD, you may have found that the school system doesn't offer many resources. Let's welcome Diane Passey, a life coach, counselor, and a mother of 7.
Yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, who had 7 kids? You know, Snow White, or, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, that was a lot. I had these kids, and when my older kids started having all of these mental struggles,
okay,
you know, and I was trying to work my way and trying to figure all of that out, and my last 2 kids were the ones that ended up having these learning disability, ADHD stuff. And when I started looking around for resources, there just wasn't a whole lot there.
Okay.
And so I learned, and I started practicing and trying to figure out. One of the things that is really interesting is that it's highly inherited. So I was like, who did that?
That's not me.
Could not possibly be me. And they're like,
100%.
Mom, it is so you. Why would you think we knew it was you all along. So it's been really good for me too, because it's helped me be able to learn how to manage my mind and what to be aware of. And you know, there's a lot of, I like to think I'm the gifted part of the ADHD, but it's really been as hard as it's been to have them at the end, and I've just thought, God, why did you, when I'm so tired, why did you give me these at the end?
Yes.
Like, you know, why wasn't it the perfect easy child? But in a way, I have become the most loving and accepting mom, and I love that. I love that it's really created a version of myself that I would have not have had before.
Then will you tell me, like, what does ADHD look like?
Right,
because there's so many stigmas, I feel like, connected to it.
So the part of ADHD that I always just really judged other parents on is the hyperactive part. And that's kind of what we think about when we think of ADHD, is the running around a room and not being able to sit and think, super distracted. So both my boys have a different version of it. My youngest is the hyperactive part. And the teachers would just say, he's just looking out the window, he's standing up and just walking around the room, he can't focus on anything, got super behind in school, where finally he was like a grade behind, and we were like, I don't know what's going on, but sorry, I didn't, like, maybe it was me, maybe I didn't read to them enough, or you know, whatever it was. Yeah. So it can look like that, or if it's not the hyperactive part, there's like 7 different types of ADHD, depending on what part of your brain it's affecting. Then it's just more of being distracted, really slow processing, and not being able to, reading sucks when you got ADHD. And math is really hard. It affects the executive part of your brain that controls a lot of time management. They just time management, remembering things from one moment to the next. They can be super picky eaters. Also very creative, really fun, and super empathetic towards other people, because they really have so many negative experiences. So many people are not very nice to them, that they like things very fair. And they will stand up for the little guy. And I love that about them. So as we kind of started learning, and now I work with teens at school with ADHD and parents at school. And I offer, like, I just found we need like a parent support group, so that all of these parents, because there's so many kids that struggle with this, all these parents need to feel like they're not the only ones. And it's because it's hard. It's hard to watch your kid not get all the straight A's, and they're not going to be getting the top awards anywhere. Yeah. You know, you're just struggling to
get them to school,
to school, and you know, you can look at their missing assignments, and it can be like 500 missing assignments, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do these. So,
and it's not that they're bad.
And it's not that they're bad.
The way that they're processing is different.
Yeah. Well, and you know, if you break down the steps it takes to turn on homework, there's actually like 10 different steps in this homework cycle. You've got to hear about the homework. You've got to know what you're supposed to do. You got to bring all your supplies home. You got to set time aside to do it. You know, it's for them, one of those little links being broken, and they just don't ever get it back in. Maybe it's done, but it's not to the teacher. Maybe it's done to the teacher, but it has no name. Maybe it doesn't even make it home. You know, there's just like there's a lot of different aspects that it can do. But we do know that there are some things that we can do to help our kids when they have ADHD. And so I'm going to give you 3 of the things that are the top things that I think are the most important.
Perfect.
Okay, so the first one is that they have found the #1 differentiator between a kid who succeeds and a kid with ADHD who succeeds and one who doesn't is if they have a charismatic adult in your life. Now,
gotta have one.
You gotta have one.
of
And
those
if you
parents.
think, can you guys think back to a time that you had somebody in your life that you knew really cared about you?
Oh, yeah.
So they say that 80% of their interactions at school are negative. So that charismatic adult becomes so much more important to kids with ADHD. So what I really like to help parents be is that charismatic adult, which can be really hard because you've asked them to put on their shoes 17 times and to brush their teeth 12, and they still didn't get there because you see their teeth when they get home from school. And there's just so many things that just tests and tries you. So sometimes you gotta have somebody kind of come in and kind of help take that middle ground road for a little bit to help the kids start being able to be able to set goals and start doing things themselves and give the parents a little bit of a break so they can step back and start healing their relationship with their child. So a coach is a really good...
So you're not suggesting that one of the parents is that charismatic adult?
No, I think that's the best case scenario, but I think it takes some time, and I think it takes some help to be able to be that. You got to have someone kind of step in and walk you through.
Interim person for a
that
minute.
interim person to kind of walk you through.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing. The next thing that they find is very, very helpful is that rewards will always trump punishments for ADHD kids. They already get so much negative that they respond to rewards very, very quickly over all of the areas of cognitive development. And even though in some of these studies that they have said, okay, you get this big reward if you'll wait a little bit, or you can get a smaller reward immediately, they want the big reward, but when it comes down to it, their brain just can't do it.
Will you give us some examples of the rewards that you would suggest?
Sure. So one thing that really works, depending on age, and we always adapt these, but are charts to be able to check things off. So I have one parent that we have a chart, and there's 5 or 6 things that she just feels like she has to fight her son with every single day. So we have those listed. If he can do it without her asking more than 2 times, then he gets an initial. And every day, if he can get those 5 to 6 things, he gets $1 because his currency is big Pokemon cards that I guess are really popular.
So then he can totally
so he can learn that, but he needs to see that the star is put on his chart immediately, and then he needs to see that every day there is something that he gets that dollar bill every single day. For my kids, they love screen time. So they get minute for minute for things that they really don't like to do. So if you'll read 30 minutes, I'm going to give you 30 minutes of screen time, immediate reward for that 30 minutes of him reading. And so when he gets super behind with something, we're going to pick the best, easiest things that he can do to get credit. We never try and make up all the missing assignments, but what are the best, easiest things, and what reward is it going to be? Is it going to be, look, if you can finish this math packet that will bring your grade up to a D, I'm going to go get you a crumble cookie, whatever crumble cookie you want, and I'll, and have it there for him that day. You have to kind of play with what matters the most to your teen. And so by doing that, you have a lot of options that you kind of open up. In my support group, it's great because other parents will share things that they do to reward their kids and things that work for them. So one parent was like, okay, I'm not going to criticize my kids all day. Like, I'm just going to go one day without criticizing. And it was so successful. Her kids responded so positively that she said, okay, I'm going to do a modified version of this for the rest of the week. And then we check back every week to say, okay, how did these goals go? One parent said that as much as her daughter's super prickly, she was like, I'm going to try and give her a hug.
I love that description.
One hug. And it can be a sideways hug, and that was okay. Or saying a prayer with a son who's really hard in the morning. Little things we do to kind of try and reward them, help them know that we love them, that they are safe in our home, that in our home, they are going to be successful and loved, and we're a soft place for them to fall.
Okay.
So the third thing that we want to do is that 60 to 100% of kids with ADHD have another learning disability or mental disorder that goes with it. So a lot of the time the ADHD will either be hidden by anxiety, depression, by autism or something like that, or it will go the other way around, where the anxiety is hidden from ADHD. So when we really start working with some of these teens and really start digging in, we start looking for anxiety. I see anxiety in almost all of my ADHD clients. And they will walk into a math classroom that they have not done well with their entire school. Now they're in, they're in 10th grade, and they can't even focus because their anxiety is like, oh man, you are not safe in here. You have got to get out. So they can't learn what's being taught because their brain is just like, you're going to fail anyway. So why are you even trying? And so when these kids fail and fail and fail and fail, parents will contact me and just say, I don't know what else to do. And so we start working on the anxiety part of it alongside the ADHD. How do we calm you? How do we calm you down? And so the top coping skill that works for most of my teenage clients that they love is square breathing, because they can
I just did that this morning off the meditation app. Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And I did it during my MRI today, guys.
You
this
did?
is crazy.
I know.
It's first time.
It's
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's amazing. Yes, yeah, and like to
Is
teach
that what
them how to
square
really breathe.
breathing is?
It
1, 2,
is.
3, 4?
Yeah. So you're gonna breathe in slow for 4 counts, and like really with your like stomach, with your belly, and then you hold it for 4. You breathe out and just push all that air out for 4.
I just got this in a meditation book a month ago, and I've been doing
That is so
and
crazy.
if you do it 2 times, scientifically, after doing 2 times, it resets your amygdala.
Just to make that square.
That square 2 times. So
Oh,
students
wow.
can do it while they're sitting in math class. They can do it while they're walking to and from classes. A lot of the students will hide in a bathroom or something, and they can do that, just to like calm themselves down so that they can be thinking logically enough to have
It like
their,
brings you present.
and
So you're
it does.
focusing on
Oxygen
that.
to your brain.
It does. Well, the amygdala part of your brain is the part that is your protective part. And the problem with the amygdala, it's fantastic to protect us, but it can't tell the difference between real and imagined danger. So it's going to react the same way to walking into math as it would if a cougar comes running down and attacks you. So they feel that need to fight, flight, and freeze, and whatever it is that their brain does. So we have to calm it down and say, well, actually, we're okay. Math isn't going to kill us. Like, I may not love math, but it's not going to kill us. So we use the square breathing. We use a grounding technique called Take 5. We journal. We have fidgets. ADHD kids need something to play with, and they are fantastic with music. If they have music that they can listen to, it actually kind of tricks their brain. That gives their brain something else to do, right? So that they can focus on what it is that they need to focus. So where music totally distracts me, like,
Yes, it does me
like
too.
I'm kind of like singing along. But for a lot of ADHD kids, you put on the earphones, you put in the earplugs, and they actually will be able to get something done because their brain is
My
able to do
son was
stuff.
listening to a podcast by typing a paper of
Yes,
a totally
totally.
different subject, but
Totally.
he has to always have
He
something.
always has to have something
Yep.
on. And it's just the way that they learn how to cope. And it's the way that they learn how to manage it through whatever it is, whatever their task is. If they're given the tools, teens love being able to feel like they have control over this part of their brain that they've never had control over. So we teach them the tools, we model it for them. If I'm working with parents, I'm saying, okay, this is the tools, this is what we're gonna do, and this is how you take it home and you teach your kids with this. And then they love being able to think that this is not something that's going to control me anymore. I have the ability to do something with this.
Wow.
So,
Kid, I love
This
it.
is such important work.
Isn't that
Yes.
so fun?
We're
I
out
know.
of time. We're out of time, Darna. You'll have to come visit us another time, but
You
it's
bet,
so
you bet.
great.
Thank
Best way
you.
for people to reach out to you.
my website, DianePassey.com. My parent ADHD group, for any of your people that watch and listen, if they put in from my website the code CHATTER, I will give them half off the first, and it's super affordable anyway. It's only $97 a month.
Okay.
But with that code, it will give them half off that first month, so
great.
that they can give it a
Awesome.
try. Come and test it out and see if they find something that will help their kids.
Thanks,
So-
Diane.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Charismatic
There's
person.
more studio chatter coming up.